Have you ever listened to a lawyer talk and just felt completely lost? It can seem like this secret, almost magical language. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain. We're looking at the structured method that turns what seems like legal chaos into a clear, logical argument. Let's jump in. When you first stare down a legal problem, it really feels like you're lost in a maze. It's just this jumble of facts and rules and arguments all flying around. It seems totally impossible to untangle. For anyone new to this, it can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. So what's the secret? How do legal pros manage to cut through all that noise and build a solid, logical case from what looks like a total mess? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. It's not some kind of born genius or secret handshake they all learn. It's a disciplined, repeatable method that, believe it or not, anyone can pick up. And that method is called IRAC. It's pretty much the foundational framework for legal thinking, and it's taught in law and business schools all over the world. You can think of it as the secret formula for just thinking clearly. So, IRAC is an acronym, and it breaks down any problem into 4 simple logical steps. First, you pinpoint the legal issue. Second, you state the governing rule. Third, you apply that rule to the specific facts of your situation. And finally, you draw a conclusion. That's it. Issue, rule, application, conclusion. And what's really cool is how people talk about IRAC. It's not a rigid box you have to force your thoughts into. It's more like a supporting scaffold. Or think of it like training wheels for your brain. It gives you a roadmap, helps you get past writer's block, and makes sure you don't skip a crucial step. Eventually, it just becomes second nature. Okay, so theory is great and all, but let's see how this thing actually works in the real world. We're going to walk through a classic case study that's used in business law classes. Let's just call it the cockroach cake case. The facts of the case are simple and, yeah, a little bit gross. So a customer, we'll call him Joe, is at a cafe. He takes a bite of his cake and he finds something pretty horrifying. Yep, a cockroach. So naturally, Joe wants to sue. Okay, first step of IRAC, identify the issue. Now, we're not asking, will Joe win $1 million? That's way too broad. The super precise legal question here is, can Joe sue the cafe for negligence? Nailing this down focuses our entire analysis. All right, next up is R for rule. And one of the best ways to tackle this is with something called the funnel approach. You start really broad with a general legal principle, and then you slowly narrow it down to the specific laws that actually apply here. So at the very top of our funnel, we have the big, broad principle. Under Australian law, and this is true in a lot of places, businesses that sell food owe what's called a duty of care to their customers. That's basically a legal promise to make sure the food is safe and won't hurt anyone. Now, we narrow that funnel. We get specific by citing a precedent. That's a past case that set the standard. And in this area, the big one is the famous case of Donahue v. Stevenson, which pretty much locked in this whole principle after a woman found a decomposed snail in her drink. Citing this case gives our rules some serious legal muscle. And now we come to the most important step, application. Honestly, this is where you really start to think like a lawyer. See, it's not enough to just list the facts and then list the rule. You have to connect them, and the magic word to make that happen is because. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Look at the weak statement. The cafe served a cake with the cockroach. Joe can sue. Okay, sure. But look at the strong one. Joe can likely sue because the cafe breached its duty of care by providing contaminated food. You see that? That one little word, because, forces you to explain why the facts matter under the rule. It's a total game changer. And finally, we get to the conclusion. If you've done the other steps right, this is the easy part. It's a direct one-sentence answer to the issue we started with. Based on everything we've laid out, we can say, therefore, Joe can likely succeed in a negligence claim. It's short, it's sweet, and it's completely supported by our analysis. So you can probably see how IRAC would be an absolute lifesaver on a law exam. But its usefulness goes way, way beyond the classroom. This method is really the foundation for a much bigger professional skill. It turns out IRAC has a few cousins. While it's the standard, there are other frameworks, like CIRC, which is often used for persuasive writing because it puts the conclusion right up at the top for impact. But here's the key thing. They're all made of the same building blocks: issue, rule, application, conclusion. The order just shuffles around depending on who you're talking to. And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory. A 2018 study gave us some really fascinating real-world data on this. Researchers looked at how business law students, a lot of them international students, were actually using this method to build their arguments. And the results? They were crystal clear. When they asked the students what the most helpful part of IRAC was, a massive 60% said the same thing. It forced them to apply the rules to the facts. This basically confirms that the application step, our whole because strategy, is where this framework really shines. That's the secret sauce. So, this all brings us to the big takeaway. Mastering a framework like IRAC is about way more than just passing a test. It's a genuine professional competency. It teaches you how to systematically untangle logic from emotion, how to weigh facts against a clear set of standards, and how to make really sound, well-reasoned judgments. And that is a powerful skill, whether you're in a courtroom, a boardroom, or heck, even just trying to win an argument at the dinner table. So, the next time you're facing a complex problem, maybe at work, in a tricky negotiation, or even just a personal dilemma, try running it through this framework. Just ask yourself, what's the real issue here? What are the rules or principles at play? How do they apply to my situation? And what's my final conclusion? Because learning to think like a lawyer isn't magic. It's just about learning to think with structure and with clarity.